Welcome everyone, it's that special time of the week again. That's right, it's time for Cape TV, the show where I, your host, Cape Joel, and a guest of my choice, in this case, Matt from Fortress of Solitude.
Hello. I've been your guest in every episode.
It's true. I always design the show where it's like, man, I want to be able to sub some people out to talk about, shows that I don't regularly watch. But the thing is, Matt watches everything, and he's always available. He's kind of the perfect co-host like that.
I'm always around.
He's just too good. I know some people have said, hey, are you going to talk about Steven Universe? Because that show came back. Maybe what I should do is, in that situation, if I can get some free time, and I don't know when the hell I'm ever going to have that, record little segments of me talking with other people and then edit it into this. How about that?
Intercut it. That'd be actually really cool.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Again, I don't know whenever I'd find the time for that shit, but if in an ideal world, that's what I would do with it. Now, as I was saying, it's your weekly TV comic review show that we do where we discuss all the best and occasionally worst that, the CW and the Marvel TV shows have to offer. And, every so often we'll throw in the odd cartoon and anime in there as well. Not this week, though, but in other weeks.
No, not this week.
I would also like to give a big plug and a big thank you to the Weekly Pull channel, of which this show is now hosted on permanently. I know some people weren't sure about that, and I wasn't even sure myself last week when I was going to do that. But big thanks to Sal, who, has been dressing up the channel real nice and even gave us some cool new title cards exclusive to this show. I thought that was really good, really, really eye-catching.
Nice.
So, go us, go the Weekly Pull channel, and go Supergirl, because it was Season 2, Episode 10, We Can Be Heroes, and that was the episode that aired this week. Matt, as always, is the biggest Superman fan that I know. You can take point on this one.
Yeah, so this one was definitely a step up from last week's kind of lackluster episode. It featured the return of Livewire.
Nice. I loved her design. She actually looks like how she's supposed to.
Yeah, and she actually gets kidnapped, and Supergirl thinks that she's doing evil stuff because there's like clones or duplicates of her or people that have her power set.
Oh.
And as we find out, she's been kidnapped by a mad scientist who's trying to duplicate her powers to create soldiers or stuff for the army and everything, trying to get army contracts and whatnot.
Man, the military-industrial complex in supervillain, roles in comic books, it's always the same. They always want the super soldiers, don't they? The super soldiers never work out. Have you never read a comic? They only worked out one time, and his name was Captain America.
Yeah, everything else they turn into, like, insane people, or they want to overthrow the world or galaxy or something.
Even shit like Wolverine there, where it's like, yeah, he was a super soldier too, and his record is spotty at best.
Yeah, oh yeah, God, yeah, he's very, very spotty.
But I heard too there was some great development this week for the Martian characters as well.
Yeah, this week's coming episode, the next episode, is going to be heavily Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian. But yeah, this one, they sort of put everything behind them since we learned that Miss Martian is a white Martian.
Yeah, as she was in the comics, so there you go.
Yeah, and John learned that and everything. They sort of put everything behind them. We saw more of the massacre on Mars, which is really cool. Yeah, they've been teasing us with that every now and then, and we got to see more of that this time, especially Megan's and John's role in that, what they did and everything.
Now, who killed who in the Martian massacre? Do we know yet, or is that the mystery?
Well, he's kind of implying that the white Martians massacred the green ones and everything.
Right, because in the comics it was always the white Martians who look like the frickin' alien from Aliens. They were the evil ones, they killed a bunch of green ones. The green ones killed them back, and then in the New 52, they changed it around to say it was the Yellow Lanterns who massacred the Martians.
I don't think they're going to go like that. I think they're just going to keep
it
it simple with the white Martians committing genocide against the green Martians.
Those damn white Martians, they can't be trusted, right? It's because they're horrifying.
They are horrifying in this. They look really cool.
Are they? Do they look like the frickin' Violator? Because I know even in Young Justice, they're like, yeah, the white Martians are monstrous.
Yeah, they look really, really monstrous.
That's cool. What else was going on in this episode? I heard we see some more movement from Mon-El that, like, Supergirl actually tries to become like a teacher.
Yeah, he's slowly becoming a superhero, or his version of a superhero. which in this case he gets a costume which is just a pair of shooting range glasses.
Aw, that's unfortunate, because he has a cool costume in the comics.
It's a really simple costume.
Yeah, just red on blue with a little tiny S. We talked about this last week.
Yeah, and yeah, he helped Kara stop Livewire and the clones of Livewire and everything. And Livewire actually kind of teams up with Supergirl as well.
Oh, that's nice, kind of moving her into a friendlier direction. Wouldn't that be fun? I always thought Livewire was a really interesting character, both in the comics and cartoons, and I was shocked pun most definitely not intended when I said I was shocked. I was surprised they never went the Harley Quinn route with her and tried to, turn her into a good guy or into an anti-hero.
Yeah, it's really strange, especially, in, recent years, we've barely seen anything of her. She's kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I always thought there was a lot of money to be made in Livewire if you did her correctly. And hey, who knows, if she gets really popular on Supergirl again and they move her into more of a hero role, because it seems like that's the way the winds are blowing on all these CW shows now. It's not enough just to have your main hero. They're all building little teams around themselves.
Yeah, they all have Team Flash, Team Arrow, Team Supergirl.
Yeah, a lot of supporting stuff going on. Hey, how's Jimmy doing? Because isn't Jimmy Guardian on Supergirl now?
Yeah, he was in this episode, and last episode Kara found out that he is Guardian, and they sort of had an uneasy team up this episode because he was involved with the Livewire stuff as well, right. And kind of did his job. He's got his shield, which I really appreciate, but he just needs. Paint the suit green, blue and yellow.
Yeah, that's really all you need.
Yeah, because that's all you need to do.
It is a good-looking suit. It's just the wrong colors.
Yeah, and the thing is, the best thing about it is it's not leather.
Oh, yeah, it's actual armor there. That's a nice touch. Once again, as we've said about Supergirl, sometimes they really nail the costumes and sometimes they really drop the ball on them.
Yeah, it's really weird, really inconsistent with the costuming.
Mm-hmm. Any more thoughts on We Can Be Heroes, just for one day?
Not really. It was a definitely step up from last week's episode.
Right on. And from Supergirl, as always, we transition into talking about The Flash. This week's episode was Season 3, Episode 11, Dead or Alive. No, not the video game. There was no volleyball to be played in this episode, but this was kind of the continuation of the stinger from the previous issue where we saw a woman jump through the portal with a picture of HR, and we found out that woman is actually Gypsy from Earth 19.
Yeah, a collector.
Yes, a collector, a thing that they've started for this. This Gypsy is a bit of a departure from the Justice League, Detroit Gypsy who we saw in the comics. For one, she's not dressed like a stereotypical Gypsy. She's actually dressed, like a Terminator. And they changed her powers, too. In the comics, Gypsy was she could create illusions and stuff. Here, she's another viber.
Yeah, she can just vibe, except they've changed the color of the special effects.
Yep. Which, hey, is cost-effective. I ain't gonna fault them for that. That's cost-effective, I tell ya.
It is.
In many ways, this was a Cisco-focused episode, wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
To save HR, Cisco basically has to offer himself in a trial by combat, because apparently Earth 19 has a lot of crazy freaking laws.
Yeah, it's technologically advanced, but some of its laws are still in, medieval times.
They got freaking Game of Thrones laws there. I challenge you to a trial by combat. And obviously, he's scared because, this woman, Gypsy, is way more powerful than him. In fact, there's a great scene early on where she defeats pretty much the entirety of Team Flash in one go by making use of her portal technology and her vibes all at the same time, which is kind of a nice nod to being this is how powerful Cisco could become should he, really work at his powers. Yeah,
it was definitely a look at what Cisco can become if, he decides to want to use his powers and not continually say that he doesn't want to.
I like on the TV show, too, how they've completely, expanded on the idea of vibing, where in the comics, all Vibe could do is he could just shoot vibrations at people, but here in the Flash TV show, well, he can shoot vibrations, and he can also travel to other dimensions, and he can also have prophetic visions. What can't vibing do? Vibing has kind of become the best power ever.
It's a god power.
It kind of is. It's like vibing does whatever the writers need it to do at the moment. Oh, you can vibe yourself into the Speed Force, which is pretty freaking godly.
Yeah, so technically the powers are Speed Force related, I
Yeah.
guess.
Very strange, very, very strange, but kind of cool too. Cisco definitely owned this episode. They did a nice bit of characterization with HR, who's a character who I've always gone back and forth on since this season started. He's not
Hmm.
as cool or threatening as evil Harrison Wells from season 1. He's not as interesting as Harry Wells from season 2. He's just kind of there. But they did a cool thing with him in this episode where they kind of do a reversal of fortunes where, Cisco always looked up to the other Welleses. They were all kind of father figures to him, but now Cisco has to save this HR because, he needs the help. He's the child now.
Yeah. Do you think they're definitely building up to maybe at the end of this season? Over the course of this season, they've proved that like he's kind of useless to the team.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really provide anything. Do you think maybe they're building up to like some heroic death to him, like he sacrifices himself to Savitar or something?
That would be something, like maybe because obviously they're trying to stop Iris's death. Wouldn't it be something
Yeah.
if HR threw himself in the way? That would be fitting, and it would keep with the theme of no Wells lasting longer than one season.
Exactly. That's what I sort of base that on. Every season they seem to get like a new Wells.
It's like the defense against the dark arts teacher in Harry Potter. None of them last a single movie. Which, speaking of Harry Potter, Julian Malfoy has now officially joined the team, and in many ways he has filled the role of the Wells from the other 2 seasons, the incredibly smart but incredibly cynical guy.
Exactly. And again, the role's been filled. Wells doesn't need to exist anymore.
Yeah, they don't need him around that much anymore, except for comedy relief, I would say. But everyone on the show is really funny, so I mean, what you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, hey, I actually really like your idea, Matt. I hope if that's the case, then they do work up to a really heroic death. Some other stuff going on in this episode. This was a packed episode, honestly. There was a lot going on.
There was.
Iris tries to break up a gun running ring from the Electric Gang, which, yes, the Electric Gang is a group from the comics, if you couldn't tell from their absolutely silly name. Only in the comics, they were a bunch of bank robbers who were actually made out of electricity. Here they're not. Here they're just dudes in suits. And I kind of liked it because I'm like, oh, wow, you mean Central City actually does have traditional crime still, not just dudes in costumes?
Yeah, everyone's not a speedster.
Yeah, they actually have shit going on there. But of course, they're dealing in futuristic laser guns, which I'm like, there you go. There's the comic for you. Iris tries to break them up with the help of Wally, who is becoming more and more into the role of Kid Flash and being a superhero. It was kind of weird, but kind of interesting, too, this idea that, like, Iris is testing her luck now that she more or less has the date and time of her own death.
Yeah, she's starting to get a little bit more, I guess, ballsy when it comes to reporting and stuff like investigations and everything.
I felt like it kind of came out of nowhere, but I guess it didn't. She's like, I want my work to mean something. I want to leave an impact on, journalism in the city. I'm like, well, you didn't want to do that last week, but then I'm reminded, well, you didn't know you were going to die last week, and that'll do it to you. Trying to make your shit matter, but the show's always kind of struggled to give Iris stuff to do. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, she's usually just kind of there and not have much to do except maybe be kidnapped by the bad guy or something.
She was the focus of Barry's affection in season 1, but she had a relationship with this other guy, and he wasn't a bad guy. He was actually quite a nice guy, and they had a cool back and forth between them. They fell in love and everything, but it was difficult for Barry. Then she became a journalist, and she tried for a bit to be like, oh, take me seriously. Then that kind of petered off. Then she joined Team Flash, but she doesn't really add anything besides giving pep talks to Barry, and Joe already does that.
Yeah, that's really all she's there. If Barry can't run fast enough, she's there to tell him that he can.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, hey, positive reinforcement's a good thing. And I know I've mentioned this before on other shows, but I'll reiterate it. The chase, again, no pun intended, for Barry to get Iris, I felt was much more interesting than when they actually got together, because the sad truth is I don't think the two actors have all that much charisma or like chemistry with each other. They're both charismatic performers, but they don't have a lot of chemistry with each other for whatever reason.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They were better at doing the longing for each other across the room thing, but now that they're together, it's like, well, what are you even doing now?
Yeah, now what do we do?
There was a funny scene where Iris had to distract her dad, and you think that she's going to come out and say, "Oh, Barry and I are having children," only to be like, "Oh no, we're thinking of getting a pet." And man, does that actor do a great job.
Yeah, that was a great thing, especially with Joe there as well.
I love Joe. I think Joe is one of the best hidden secret weapons of this show.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, beyond that, what is there left to say? The stinger of the episode was Barry coming to the realization that maybe he won't be fast enough to save Iris when it really matters, but Wally has been getting faster and faster, and so he says, you know what, maybe I don't have to do it, maybe you can.
Yeah, yep.
Which is definitely, boosting his character and boosting the importance of the character to be like, no, 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 you're central to this.
Yeah, everything revolves around here. You're the key to this.
Yeah, you're the key, Wally. You're the key to everything. I don't even know what I'm quoting right now.
Do you think that's because he's kind of the key to the comics at the moment?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. You're right. The Wally character has gone up in importance, hasn't he? And even in the comics right now.
Has he ever?
And even in the comics currently, they're playing with that idea too, where it's like, wait, is Wally faster than Barry now?
Yeah, yep.
The timing does seem a little too perfect, doesn't it, that it's happening in both mediums?
Mm-hmm.
I hope Wally sticks around. I like the idea of him having a sidekick, and I think even Barry himself this episode kind of warms up the idea of, having backup in the field and everything and having someone who can assist him.
Yeah, he doesn't seem too put off by it like he did before.
Yeah, it's a nice bit of character growth for him. So yeah, that was Dead or Alive. Pretty solid, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice little focus piece on Cisco. I think if you're a fan of the character, you'll definitely enjoy that one. Moving on from there, we have a new show in the rotation now for Cape TV, the much lauded Powerless Season 1, Episode 1, Wayne or Lose. And if you rolled your eyes at that pun right there, oh boy, buckle the fuck in.
Get fucking ready, people.
It's gonna be a long one. So Powerless, I mean, before we even talk about the show proper, we should talk about this, because you and I were actually discussing this previously. The show was originally supposed to be about a bunch of, insurance claim adjusters in the DC comic universe. They aired the first episode at Comic-Con, and what happened, Matt?
Riots.
Yeah, they hated the show. The show got blasted and lambasted, so much to the point that they took it completely back to the drawing board, fired the showrunner, brought on 2 new showrunners, and had the show completely rejiggered and reworked to where now, instead of being insurance adjusters, it is the comedic workplace adventures of people working for a Wayne Enterprises subsidiary under Alan Tudyk's character, who is Van Wayne, the cousin of Bruce Wayne. Yes, we all remember Van Wayne, don't we, from the comics, the cousin of Bruce Wayne? No, you don't, because he doesn't exist.
Well, he technically does. He appeared for a panel in one comic back in the 50s.
So he's like an Uncle Philip Kane thing, or an aunt. Who was the aunt in the Adam West Batman show?
Oh, I can't remember.
Aunt Harriet.
Yep.
If he's his cousin, maybe Aunt Harriet's his mom. Oh my God, Matt, we're connecting the dots here, aren't we?
Oh,
I've got
so this show.
Yeah, man. So, as you can tell, I'm kind of trying to put off talking about it. It is a network comedy with superhero jokes. And you can tell it's a network comedy because as they open up, they make one of the biggest, hackiest writing mistakes you can in network comedy, and that is it's Vanessa Hudgens, right, who plays the main girl.
Yeah.
Right, she says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, it's my first day in the city, I'm going here," like no human ever says in conversation.
Yeah, and she's way too happy to be in the city.
Get it? Because everyone else is so bored and so over superheroes and supervillains, but to her it's fresh and new.
and she talks like this for some reason in long sentences that tell you what is actually happening on screen.
Yeah, exactly. You know, this is a comedy that most definitely breaks the rules of show don't tell. And furthermore, I would say it breaks the rules of comedy in a lot of places by genuinely not being funny. It does that kind of like How I Met Your Mother thing of a character will say one thing, then a quick cut to no, that's not true.
Yeah, like a skit or something, or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah, like a cutaway. And again, you know, originally this show was pitched as like The Office in the superhero universe, which, you know, The Office used a lot of cutaway jokes like that, and I know some people have complained that that's a lazy form of comedy. Oh, it's nothing compared to when Alan Tudyk says, I'm a big picture guy, then proceeds to walk over to a big picture on the wall. Do you get it?
Yeah, this is a big picture of Gotham. Get it, Gotham? Batman? Get it?
Also, apparently Wayne Enterprises in this show invented beer with lime in it.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
That's their big invention.
Yeah, beer with lime in it. That's it's a sad case, Powerless, because it falls to the trap of so much network comedy. I don't blame them for it, because this is just kind of how shows are like on networks like these. I mean, it's very rare to get something like a 30 Rock or a Parks and Rec or even a Community that breaks out of that hole. And even then, all those shows I mentioned, it took them like a season in many cases to break out of that mold and kind of find their footing. But oh, was Wayne or Lose not putting its best foot forward?
No, I don't know what it's going to be like from now on. And I was talking to some people about it, and they said it's probably going to get maybe a season, maybe even half a season before they decided, nope, we're canceling it.
I mean, I guess we can talk about the superhero stuff for a second. I mean, the big crux of this episode is that the company...
quote-unquote superhero.
Yeah, quote-unquote superhero. The company is going under, so they need to build something that'll help people. Apparently, this company invented Joker Venom. All right.
Yeah, okay.
I thought Batman invented that because he's a cool genius and everything, and I thought Lucius Fox designed his gear because he's a cool genius and everything. Nope, it was Abed and Ron Funches, everybody. They did it.
Yeah, there's just these two schlubs who work in an office in a city we've never heard of.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk about this too? Like the level of creativity from the writers on display here. Ron Funches, who is a hilarious comedian. In fact, the whole cast is hilarious and other stuff.
Yeah.
Ron Funches' character in the show is named Ron. They couldn't even write a name for him, so they just made his real name the character name.
Well, whenever shows do that, I'm like, this is just lazy. It's either the actor couldn't remember what his character's name was, or they're just like, fuck it, just call him Ron.
Was it a placeholder that you never changed? Now, well, it's very easy to dogpile on Powerless, and in fact we have been. I will say probably the best bit about this show, and I'm sure you would agree too, Matt, is actually the opening credit scene.
Yeah, the opening credits. Yeah, they're actually really cool.
Real comic artwork, famous images that we as fans all know, and the joke being that the little like starring thing is not for the big superheroes, but for the little tiny people in the background.
Yeah, hiding behind the building or in the rubble or something.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. That's really cool, and it's nice to see. I'm always a big fan when comic book inspired TV shows actually show us the panels. I like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's a big amount of, hey, we're not afraid of where we come from.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's just a shame that it's not a funny comedy. And I know before people, in the comment section tell me, oh, well, I liked it, I thought it was funny. That's fine. That's the thing about humor. It is completely 100% subjective. I know Rob actually enjoyed it. But for me, this is not for me.
No.
I have never laughed less in a pilot. I stood there very stone-facedly through the whole thing. Actually, no, that's not true. The one bit that made me chuckle, it was not maybe so much a chuckle as a chortle, but the one reaction the show actually got from me was when they're trying, like, the safety vest, and she says, oh man, that's an amazing idea. You did that? No, we stole that from LexCorp. That was a funny joke. I'm like, okay, that was cute. That I enjoyed. Everything else, nah.
Yeah, it's that I'm going to use a term that Rich Evans from Red Letter Media coined. It's called nomedy.
Yeah.
And it's where they make a joke and you smile a little less.
Yeah, kinda. But yeah, I mean, that's Powerless. It's a pilot episode. It's very hard to judge these things on pilots alone, especially network comedies. Maybe it'll find its footing, maybe it won't. Who's to say?
It's really funny when it aired. I think it aired yesterday or the day before or something. They announced that there's going to be a superhero to actually join the cast and everything, and everywhere I look, they're like, Justice League member gets to be on Powerless, and I like clicked on it, and it's like Justice League International member.
Which Justice League International member?
Fire. She was on the team for like a second.
Oh, Fire of Fire and Ice fame, the Brazilian superheroine.
Yeah, which she probably won't be in the show.
Or, they're going to cast a really attractive woman, and that'll be the joke. Like, wow, look how attractive she is. No one can concentrate around her because she's so attractive.
Yeah, she'll be working for the company, and they'll try and do like the Clark Kent Superman dynamic, but it'll fail horribly.
Or one of those things where it's like, when she gets really happy or really upset, she sets fire to things around her.
Yeah, and just random things will start burning, and then the character will come and say, that's on fire, and then walk off.
Yeah, for anyone who's ever listened to Harmontown, which is Dan Harmon's podcast, he's the co-creator of Rick and Morty and the creator of Community. He gave a really great symposium about TV comedy, and he talked about a lot of the scripts that he had read. I asked people to go seek this out if you're interested, and he basically broke down everything he didn't like about modern scripting, and he didn't name names on any of the shows that he was, kind of making fun of, but you knew which ones he was talking about, and I can never look at network TV the same ever again, because he nailed it so perfectly when he talked about how they set up a joke and how everyone is exactly the same.
Yep.
But then again, hey, you know what? Some network comedies go on forever because, people like that kind of thing. They like being able to see the joke from a mile away. So, who am I to judge, right? That's Powerless. Don't be shocked if Matt or I don't talk about it again.
I'm going to keep watching it just to abuse it on Twitter.
Okay, fair enough. You can tell me then if I should jump back on if an interesting hero or interesting plot point comes out. Because, I mean, God, this one had Starro in it. Starro the Conqueror showed up for a second.
Yeah, and was killed off screen by Green Lantern.
And was then thusly killed. Yeah. Or no, continue.
I was going to say, what is even bad? Like, just like, as we were saying, the actors as well, but they also got like DC legacy actors. They got Adam West to do a voiceover.
Oh, that's right.
They got Mark McClure, the guy who played Jimmy Olsen in the Christopher Reeve Superman films, to play Vanessa Hudgens' dad.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it was I was like, oh, no, Mark McClure, no.
This show had all the ingredients. The only problem is that it's a comedy that wasn't funny.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute comedy.
It says. Hey, maybe they'll change it for season 2 and it'll just be a straight-up drama.
It's just a hard change.
Just a hard change.
Arrow levels of a drama.
Jeez. I'm glad you mentioned Arrow, Matt, because that's another thing that I feel sorry for Powerless, because it'll have working against it right out of the gate, and that is it's not connected to the bigger CW universe. It's not connected to anything on Fox, so it's not like you have to watch it to keep up on the greater continuity of things.
Yeah, it's one of those shows. It's like, Although, in saying that, maybe like they might end up moving it to CW, maybe, Jesus. And then suddenly, Felicity is in charge.
hey, like we were saying, there's a free night now ever since they moved Legends. Maybe that's where Powerless is gonna slide right on in. Oh, god damn it. So, from Powerless to Legends of Tomorrow, we had Season 2, Episode 10, Legion of Doom. And as we mentioned in the previous episode, Matt and I have a love-hate relationship with Legends of Tomorrow. It does some really dumb things that makes us furious. It does some things that, just make no logical sense. But every so often, they do some cool shit, and I am happy to say Legion of Doom had some cool shit in it, Matt, didn't it?
Yes and no.
There was plenty of dumb shit to go around, but there was some cool shit as well. You know what? I take point on all the other ones. I'll let you take point on this one, Matt.
Well, this one sort of focused on Damien Dark and Malcolm Merlyn and their hate of being henchmen, even though they don't know what henchmen are like. Well, what I really felt like was this episode felt like it was written for Leonard Snart. Like it was meant to be Leonard Snart in the Malcolm Merlin role, because
Yeah.
he's been a henchman before. So I think if they would have gotten him in it, it would have had more impact for me,
Hmm.
because he would have felt like he's being underused and not told everything and whatnot like usual.
Well, it's funny. That was the rumor for the longest time, that Captain Cold would eventually join the Legion of Doom, because he was in the Legion of Doom on the Super Friends, and that would, kind of get him back as a bad guy and have him face off against the heroes. Like maybe he had his mind rewritten or something. I'm shocked that didn't happen.
Yeah, I am really shocked. Like they didn't go get him from some part of the timeline or something.
Yeah. But yeah, like Matt said, Legion of Doom is in many ways a villain-focused episode. Why Damien Dark even gets to do the opening little monologue, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, like, and when the show's logo came up, it was all the Legion of Doom logos, the Reverse Flash, the Damien Dark, and the Malcolm Merlin one.
Which is even more funny because we joked in the previous previous episode, when Merlin and Dark were just kind of walking around, chumming around, shooting the shit. I'm like, man, are they trying to get a spin-off of their very own? And in this episode, too, it felt like they were gunning for a spin-off.
A little bit, yeah. They kind of got their own solo episode.
They did, where it's like, hey guys, wouldn't you watch a Legion of Doom show every week?
I honestly would. It'd probably be better than following the idiots on the Wave Rider. And it's funny because Malcolm actually calls them all morons.
He is.
And I'm like, hey, he's speaking for the audience.
Yeah, he is correct, and I like you say idiots on the Wave Rider. They barely leave the Wave Rider this entire episode.
No, it was a bottle episode.
It was a bottle episode, and the big crux of that bottle was Stein, in trying to uncover the magic medallion they took, recruits his time aberration daughter to come on the ship and help out, which means he has to essentially come clean with everyone else about what's going on, and in turn come clean to her as well.
Yeah, and this goes back to like what we've been saying, like how they fuck up time more than they fix.
They really do. And, Stein fighting so hard was like, but I love my time aberration daughter. I didn't know I wanted a child until I ended up having one. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah, it's a good relationship they're doing there.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely say Stein's character journey has been handled better than a lot of the characters. And, of course, Heatwave is the one who fucks it up for everybody by getting drunk and dropping the hint.
As Heatwave would do.
As he absolutely would, where I'm like, as soon as they said, and don't tell my daughter, Rory, I'm like, oh, well, it's only a matter of time now until he tells her.
Yeah, he's gonna go get drunk, and he's gonna go get naked in front of everyone and tell them all. And
oh, I might be naked, but you're a time aberration. Shockingly, and I never thought I would say this, Rip is used to great effect this episode. He still thinks he's a movie director. He spends the majority of the show getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, and they have to use his information to break into a vault, which we find out actually holds his memories.
Yes, very, very cool stuff going on there. And the other big thing this episode, and I wouldn't be shocked if this ends up being the, being the title card for this episode, we see the return of the Black Flash, the Grim Reaper of the Speed Force.
Yeah, he coming after the Reverse Flash, as we learn that whenever he uses his Speed Force powers, the Black Flash comes after him because he's not of this timeline, or he shouldn't exist.
Yes, because when Eddie shot himself, he's supposed to have wiped him from existence, and because of this time echo of Eobard Thawne has to run further and further into the future to run away from the Reverse Flash, which I'm like, you know what, that doesn't make 100% sense, but it's a cool idea, so I'll let it go.
What I found really frustrating is that some of the team members of the Legends actually met Reverse Flash or know about him, and they're like, who is this weird yellow Flash guy running around?
Yeah,
we don't know who he is, and then they suddenly remember him.
Yeah, that was really, really dumb, because they have like a whole string board set up with all the different speedsters who have been on Flash, and like, we wonder who he could be, I'm like, motherfuckers, you saw his face! What?
And then it's made worse by like, it's who is it that knows it's Martin, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, because Stein, of course, started out on the Flash show, so he was aware.
Yeah.
And I know the reason the show tries to give us, like, oh, well, he deleted himself from history, so of course no one remembers him. Like, but Flash remembers him, and Stein remembers him, so everyone should be able to remember him.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, my God.
And also, too, you guys were in Star City. You got the pictures of the other speedsters. So why didn't you just go to Barry and friends and be like, yeah, hey, we're giving, a speedster's giving us trouble. He's a blonde douchebag. Ah, that's Thawne. That's who that is.
Exactly. You have a fucking time. This fucking show. You have a fucking time machine. Just go to Star City and say, hey, I know you're dealing with some shit at the moment, but we got a speedster. Who is he? Just tell us who he is.
Yeah,
that's all we need.
We need some info. Furthermore, doesn't Gideon have, like, all recorded history of the past, present, and future? So couldn't she pull up, like, a news report and be like, oh, yeah, Reverse Flash came back at one point?
Yeah, and Reverse Flash used Gideon, remember?
Yes, that's right. I'm amazed they haven't tied those two things together yet.
I reckon it's probably one episode he's going to, like, steal Gideon or something, and then it's going to go back to season 1 of Flash or some shit.
I'm amazed they didn't tie that together. Another thing that was kind of dumb, but they also kind of fixed it. So the whole crux of this episode is that the Legion of Doom want to get into a vault, right, to steal what they think is the next part of the spear, but we find out is actually the memories. And it's up to Merlin and Dark to do this thing. And I was yelling at my TV, I'm like, Reverse Flash can, vibrate his molecules through walls. He could do this anytime he wanted. But then the episode comes out and says, well, he didn't want to do it because if he used his powers like that, it would invite invite the Black Flash to find him again. But then they trap him and he's like, no, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Dude, you can leave anytime you want.
Yeah, the thing with the powers doesn't make any sense. So, like, if he just walks normally, just walks around, like, he doesn't have the speed force? Like, it can't sense it? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, you either have it or you don't. It's very weird, the rules of this. I will say it's clever, though, to remember the race and remember the Black Flash as the Grim Reaper of the Speed Force, kind of, the Speed Force self-correcting itself when it comes to time aberration, because I'm like, okay, cool. They're at least laying down the rules and saying Flash time travel and Legends of Tomorrow time travel are two different things.
Yeah, finally.
At least they're trying to put rules into it. And also, I really liked how the Black Flash worked in this episode. He's a zombie. He's trying to eat Speed Force brains. He's also like the raptors in Jurassic Park, where it's like he can only see by smell and by, hearing and everything. He can't actually see you if you stand still.
Yeah, I like the design of the Black Flash as well. It looks really cool.
It's a really good design. And although as much as I love the design and as cool and intimidating as he was, they beat him by throwing him into a vault, which again, you're a speedster, you should be able to vibrate your molecules and leave the vault.
Well, not just that, you just run around in a circle and create like a time portal, go out and just come back 5 minutes earlier or something.
But, like, they treat it like, yep, that defeated him, we locked him in a vault. What if they just open the vault again, which I'm sure they'll have to.
Yeah, I'm sure someone in a couple of hours when the bank or whatever opens.
Guys, I love you, Legion of Doom, but you really didn't think this through. But yeah, so I mean, that was the Legion of Doom. Was there anything else that happened in this episode? Or I think we basically covered it all.
Yeah, I think I know at the end the Rip Hunter goes to like the Civil War or something. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, and kills George Washington.
Yeah, with a gun, that slide doesn't come back when it fires.
Yeah. So, because they rewrote his brain, they're like, okay, well, we finally have his memories, which means we can make evil Rip if we want. And what's evil Rip's first order of business? I'm going to kill George Washington and undo America.
What's the bet that evil Rip will be more competent than every other member of the Legion of Doom?
I bet he might be a little bit more competent. I will say, I really hated the idea of Rip coming back. I like that they're actually giving him interesting stuff to do now. He's way more interesting as a mind wipe director and as a presidential assassin than he ever was as a time cop.
Yeah, his story as a time cop was really thin.
Here's my thing, too. I wonder, are they going to keep him around after this storyline, or are they just going to let him go? Because as we said at the beginning of this season in another episode, Rip's story is done. He has nothing left to do.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is also why they wrote the Hawks out of the show, because their stories were done. They had nothing left to do.
Exactly. So yeah, I could definitely see him being written out, killed, or something.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, too, I put Legends up here because we're going to talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. last. And the reason I did that is because one of the big story elements of Legends is, we learn a little bit more about Stein. We learn a little bit more about his father. And apparently his father wasn't that nice to him. I thought that was funny because in the new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we're going to be talking about now, we learn about Fitz's dad. And apparently Fitz's dad was also not good to him.
Yeah, he was kind of an asshole to him, and
What is it about super scientists having their dads be shitheels? I thought to myself for a second, I'm like, man, these two characters should talk to each other if they weren't, divided by universe.
yeah, yeah.
I thought this was actually a really strong episode, too, of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was called Hot Potato Soup, which is a hilarious and delicious name.
Yeah, we saw the return of Patton Oswald's Koenig brothers and sisters.
Yeah, multiple Patton Oswalts in this episode. He's really the MVP of this episode. He's just going for it, playing multiple roles all at once.
Yeah, and what's even great about this episode is that, like, I've seen since the LMD thing started, people have been getting uptight because in the first Avengers, Tony Stark talks about LMDs, and like, well, how can they talk about it when LMDs have just started? And they explain it as that the Koenigs were technicians for the original LMD program.
Yeah, which is a nice bit of continuity, nice little bit of retconning, even if you want to call it that, bringing it together. And of course it leads to a funny joke where they're all like, wait, does that mean that they're robot? No, have you seen them? Who would build a robot that's like Patton Oswalt?
It is.
He's fucking great in this episode. He plays the cool Koenig agent. He also plays a version of himself who didn't become an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., who is hilariously enough a comedian.
Yeah, I like Jesse Ventura-esque comedian talking about conspiracy theories and chemtrails and the government lizard people. And...
Wake up, S.H.I.E.L.D. sheeple, everybody! and it's great because they bring him on like the helicarrier, and he's like, I don't like it here. It's really good stuff. We get to see some new Russian villains in this. They've kind of been building up to them all season. We get a new character who we find out is actually the guy supporting Senator Nadir and the Watchdogs. And I really dug this dude because the second he came out, I'm like, oh god, here we go, stereotypical Russian bad guy. And yet he drinks some vodka and smells an onion. I'm like, oh, you're a character, okay. It's the little things, man, to build a character, because that dude felt real, didn't he?
He did, yeah, and he actually felt kind of threatening as well.
He really did. They built the whole thing about him trying to, torture Koenig and everything, and going on about how his hatred of machines and his hatred of Inhumans. And it made me laugh, because I was trying to think to myself, I'm like, a American militia that's spread out all over the world that hates, a small minority group, the Inhumans, is actually backed by scary Russian spies. I wonder if this was trying to be topical or if it just ended up being topical.
A complete coincidence.
Yeah, I truly wonder. I'm like, no, that didn't work out because, they probably wrote this before the break, but maybe I don't know. This was a real spy feeling episode, wasn't this?
It was like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should be a spy, espionage sort of show.
Yeah, like the super stuff kind of sat on the back burner for a bit, and it went full-on spy stuff. It also went full-on Westworld for a bit, too, because Mac, Fitz, and Simmons are interrogating the Radcliffe LMD that they still have in their possession. He is just being a dick to them through this whole episode.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's goading them and everything.
Getting into philosophical arguments with Mac about what it means to have a soul, and I'm like, shit, man, this is good. And the idea, too, that the Radcliffe robot might not actually be as evil as the real Radcliffe, and I'm like, ooh, wouldn't that be funny if they kill real Radcliffe, but they keep LMD Radcliffe around, because he's basically the same, but they can program him to be less evil.
That'd be really cool. It's sort of like the May thing as well, how May is a robot, and she's sort of coming to terms with being a robot because she doesn't think she's a robot, so she doesn't know what she's doing is good or bad. Yeah. And kind of in that gray area.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff with the robots this episode, and the moment we all knew was going to come, and that is that, the Robo-May makes a move on Coulson, and it's like, are they going to do it? Oh, they're doing it, but his heart's going to be broken. When he finds out the truth. You knew they were going for that when this half of the season started, and you knew it was going to be sad when they got there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, by and large, Hot Potato Soup, it was funny, it had great action, it had great character moments. I would say this was probably the one, if not the strongest episode of the season they've done, and they've done a lot of strong episodes this season.
Yeah, it was a great episode. A great episode in this LMD arc they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of great episodes across the week. This was a very solid week for television. Like, I know we kind of crapped on Legends, but I actually think that's one of the strongest episodes they've done this season. If not the strongest episode, like, ever for the show. I would say that and the Samurai episode are actually pretty close as far as episodes go.
Yeah.
That was all pretty tight. But yeah, I mean, that was Hot Potato Soup, that was S.H.I.E.L.D., and that was kind of Cape TV for the week, Matt. How you feeling overall about what we watched this week?
It was pretty good week. Pretty good. A couple of gray spots here and there, but yeah, it was a pretty good week.
But overall, good watching. As always, everyone, we hope you enjoyed watching and listening to us talk about everything we enjoyed this week. As always, I urge you down in the comment section below, tell us what was your favorite moment from superhero and geeky TV this week. What are you looking forward to in the next week? And until we meet again, everyone, this is Cape Joel and Matt from the Fortress of Solitude telling you to be sure to join us next time. Same Cape TV channel, same Cape TV place. Nailed it this week.
No stroke out.
Nope, I was working hard on that one. I'm like, nope. I'm gonna get this one this week. I'm gonna get it all right.
Your nose started bleeding, and I'm gonna get it.
It was hard, and I'm like, you know what? If I fuck this up this week, then that's just gonna be my thing forever, fucking up this sign off. I'll try and find new and interesting ways to get it wrong every single week. But yes, with that, we're bringing the show to a close. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Goodbye to you.
Bye.